ruin has come to our family.
I'm Reginald Gickington, and you can call me Reggie, and today I'll be continuing a painting journey through the miniatures of the Darkest Dungeon board game by Mythic Games. In today's video, we're going to be doing just one hero, but one with two forms. Bigby the Abomination, as both the frail and nervous prisoner and the monstrous and feral creature. As I've mentioned before, there are no tutorials out there for this sort of thing, so we're going to be learning together what does and doesn't work. To do the Abomination, we'll start with his human form before moving on to the beast form. I always prime my miniatures in black, so that's how we'll be starting. First thing will be the shorts and the cape. Venetian purple for his pants and dark green for his cape. I think perhaps the developers were winking at the audience a bit here, making the weak man who transforms into a powerful rage-filled monster green and purple. Next, we're doing his skin, for which we're going to use Rakarth flesh, as the Abomination has a much more pale and sickly appearance than his contemporaries, and also his chains, for which we're using Leadbelcher. Now we're going to wash everything. Flesh wash all over the skin to start, with the exception of the A branded onto his head, which gets Carroburg Crimson. The same goes for his pants, and then black wash all over everything else, the chains and the cape. We're going to highlight the skin using Kislev flesh and Rakarth flesh. Rakarth is going to be used to return some lightness to the muscle groups, where Kislev is going to be used specifically to highlight the top of his head. We're going to highlight his cape now by using dark green to layer on all of the upward surfaces, and then a 1-to-1 mix of dark green and camouflage green as an edge highlight. Next comes Venetian purple, used to edge highlight the pants. And then for his hair, we're going to be using Cygor brown, applied in one coat. To add some shine to his chains, we're going to be dry brushing them all over, very carefully, in Leadbelcher, and then in some few areas, we're going to dry brush them in Jokero orange, to give them the appearance of being rusty and decayed. With the standard basing scheme, that rounds out Bigby's human form. Now that the human is done, it's time to unleash the beast. And for that, we're going to start with an all-over coat of tan for all of the skin. Next, we're going to apply flesh wash to all of the skin elements, followed by a coat of Carroburg Crimson to really pull the Abomination down towards a more red tone. We're doing his pants and chains next, the same way we did on the human form, Phoenician purple and lead belcher. The next step will be the horns, claws, and teeth. For the horns on his head, along with the fur around his neck and the nails on his hooves, we're going to be using Mechanicus Standard Gray. Then, for the teeth and the claws, along with all of the bulging veins on his arms and neck, we're applying Rakarth Flesh. For those veins, it's best to use a fine-tipped brush and run along the veins in parallel, allowing the raised surface of the veins to brush along the surface of the paintbrush. Now we're going to be using Blackwash and Carroburg Crimson. The former applied twice to the horns and hooves and once to the chains, fur, and teeth/talons. The red wash is conversely used for the pants, just like how it was on the human form. We're going to return some glow to his skin by highlighting it with Bugman's Glow, avoiding any recessed areas and really defining those muscle groups. Areas like the chest, the knees, the top of the head, and the fingers are really the most crucial. His veins are going to be given a sinister green tinge now, using green-gray applied generously around any area where the veins meet each other, and then a 1-to-1 mix of green-gray and scorpion-gray in a smaller area in the exact spot where they meet. Also apply this highlight over the fingernails of his left hand. We'll be highlighting the pants and the teeth now, using Phoenician Purple and Rakarth Flesh. Next is a highlight of the horns and hooves using Mechanicus Standard Gray. Now for the hooves, they can just be a simple vertical line right down the center of each one. But for the horns, you need to lean into the perspective and hit the upwards facing part of each one. You want to remember that the model is intended to be viewed from the same angle as the original game art, and so the highlight should be placed accordingly. Then we just round it out with the classic base and shadows. And just like that, the Abomination is complete, both his human and beast forms. As always, it's important to take your time and not worry about mistakes, because you can always go back later and paint over them. Have fun painting your Darkest Dungeon miniatures, and feel free to tag me on Instagram, @ReggieGick, to show me how yours turn out. Links to my affiliated socials can be found in the description. Feel free to subscribe or like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon with another painting tutorial.